My name is Jody Maloney, and I work for Mason College Access Network and the Mason County Promise. I do have a piano lesson going on in the background, so if you hear music, that's not coming from me, but it is coming from my background. So I apologize in advance. I'm introducing today Annie Jacobson. She is the Director of Enrollment and Student Engagement at West Shore Community College. And the way that today is going to go is Annie's going to give a presentation, and then at the end we will open it up to questions. If you want to submit your questions in the chat, or if you would like to ask those questions, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask. While Annie is presenting, I ask that all participants please mute yourself. And if you're watching from home as a recorded video, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, jodym@leadington.org, or connect with admissions@westshore.edu. All right, with no further ado, Annie, would you like to let everybody know about the great programs that West Shore has to offer?
Absolutely. So I'm Annie Jacobson. I'm the Director of Enrollment and Student Engagement at West Shore. And one of the things that I get to do is talk to students and their families about options that West Shore has. And one of the things that I find is that we often don't know kind of what a hidden gem our community colleges can often be. So I'm really excited to get to talk to you about that today. So I have this kind of presentation that I show in a number of high schools to students. And so there's some parts of that I think I'll highlight for you here today. And then there's other parts that I might skip over just to kind of talk about some of I think most of you probably know where West Shore is, so I'll skip that part of it. But I will focus on some of the programs that we have to offer, and then just some facts about West Shore that I don't think that a lot of people know. So I'm going to start to share my screen now. Oh, Jody, would you allow me to share my screen, please? Should I be good? Okay. Yay. Okay. So I think that it should be viewable now.
Sorry, I was muted that whole time. Yes, you're good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I always start out when I'm talking about West Shore, talking about some numbers. And I think that a lot of times we don't talk about numbers until the very end, after like everyone draws you in. But I think that some of the selling points about West Shore not only are the wonderful things we're going to talk about our programs and our faculty, but also how quality of an education it is for a pretty inexpensive price tag comparatively. So the last couple years, we've been listed as one of the top 50 community colleges in the United States by learn.org. 2 years ago, we were the only community college in the state of Michigan on that list. I haven't checked that fact this year, so I don't want to say that for sure. But we might be the only community college in the state of Michigan on that list. And then we're also ranked as one of the top 10 community colleges in the state of Michigan by schools.com. And part of that is because there's such a wonderful value and we offer a really wonderful education. Our current enrollment is just under 1,100 students. So it's definitely going to be much larger than the high schools that your students are currently attending, with the exception of a handful, right? Some of the high schools in the area are actually kind of large with a couple hundred students per class, but for the most part, this is going to be a lot larger than a lot of the high schools in our service area. But it's also small enough that our faculty and our staff get to know who our students are, get to know their faces when they see them around, when they see them in class, and so they're not completely lost in the mix. The class sizes are not massive. There's not hundreds of students in a single lecture hall. Your professor or your student's professor will know who they are. They'll know their face. They'll know their name. Cost-wise, the average cost for a full-time student, which is 12 credit hours or more, is about $1,500 a semester, and that includes tuition and fees if you live in district. If you live out of district, that cost is going to be a little bit higher. But in general, that's $3,000 per year per year if you're going for 2 semesters, which comparatively to the average cost of Michigan in-state tuition is significantly less. This year, the most recent data I could find said that the average cost was just over $14,000 for tuition alone, not including room and board. So we are a way that you and your students can save some money and get a really wonderful education. And there's some scholarship opportunities as well. So let's talk about paying for college. I just want to mention that the FAFSA opens today. We're recording this October 1st. So that's open for the 21-22 school year. So right now there's going to be 2 FAFSA forms available. One for the 2020-2021 school year, which is the current one that we're in, right? But if you and your student are looking to get aid for the next school year, be sure that you choose the one for 2021-2022. And that will determine whether students are eligible for grants and student loans. We also, through the state of Michigan, some of your students might be eligible for the TIP program. If you're in Mason County, the Mason County Promise. If you are in Manistee County, maybe your student is a Manistee Commitment Scholar, so there's some of those opportunities as well. And then we have other scholarships. So West Shore offers a number of scholarships for students. All they need to do is apply. And last year, every single student who applied for a scholarship received something. And when your tuition is probably going to be $3,000 or less, a $500 scholarship or a $1,000 scholarship actually makes quite a difference. We also have a lot of community partners and lots of organizations within the communities that we live in that offer scholarships. I know that in Oceana County and Manistee County, the Community Foundation, and in Mason County, the community foundations like to give away a lot of money to students. So please apply for those or encourage your students to apply for those. And some of those scholarships can help pay for costs of books, gas, and supplies that, depending on what the financial aid package would be, or, whether it's Promise, Commitment Scholarship, may not cover right now. Okay, so y'all know where we're located, I hope. We're in Mason County between Ludington and Scottville. But we have a lot of programs, and so there's different kinds of programs that we offer. Some of them are certification programs, which are typically about a year if a student's going full-time. If students are not going full-time, it's going to take a little more than a year. And then we have 2 different kinds of an associate degree. We have an Associate of Applied Arts and Sciences, which we often refer to as a AAAS. Some schools, it's just 2 A's and it's a AAS. And then we also have the Associate of Arts and the Associate of Science degrees. And the thing that I like to talk about here is that when we talk about creating a college-going culture or going to college, we often automatically think of a bachelor's degree or a 4-year degree, right? And one of the things that I really like to help hit home for our community is that when we're talking about going to college, it doesn't necessarily need to be a 4-year bachelor's degree. Maybe it is, and that's great, and West Shore can help you get there too. But a 4-year degree isn't going to work for everybody, right? That's just not what some students have goals for. Sometimes they don't want to spend the money or commit the time, or what they're interested in doesn't require that degree. You can still get a college education and earn a certificate, right? And earn a 2-year degree. And they can really help with that earning potential. So we have business. We have business programs. I'm just going to kind of go through these so there's time for a Q&A at the end because I can talk a lot about all of the things that West Shore has to offer. But these are some of the programs that we offer in the business field. Anything that you see here that says AA at the end, I was going to use my finger. You can't see where I'm pointing. So I'll do it with my mouse, but the business AA right there, that's more of the general business degree that incorporate some of the general education requirements for students who are thinking about transferring to a 4-year school. So that's a route that we often recommend students to go if they know that they want a bachelor's degree someplace else. We might direct them to that Associate of Arts in Business so they get those general education requirements taken care of. But that doesn't mean that that classes that they take for these other degrees or certification programs won't transfer. They just don't have that core, the Michigan Transfer Agreement. Some of you might be familiar with that. That's not built into these other programs. That's only built into this Associate of Arts in Business. Computer science. This is a growing field. After talking with our computer science professor, students who know even a little bit about this field are going to have a leg up on anybody else in the careers that they're pursuing. So if students are looking to take an elective class, they don't know what to take, I would definitely steer them in the computer science direction because it's going to benefit them somehow, some way. So again, we have kind of an Associate of Arts degree that has a computer science focus, and that's going to have that Michigan transfer agreement built into it. Otherwise, there's these 3 other routes to take. Some of them are certification programs. I think we have a certification in network services and an associate's degree. This year new, we have a game design and animation. That's one of those AAAS degrees that's intended for students to be able to go straight to work right after they earn the degree, but this program actually transfers really well to Ferris as well. They have a pretty strong game design and animation program. Manufacturing, we're really well known for our manufacturing program, so electrical, electronics, mechanical systems. I'll let you read through those there, but most of these that I have listed here offer certification programs and a 2-year degree. Nursing and allied health. So this is a big one. We offer a lot of different options as far as nursing and allied health go. Some of them are certificates, some of them are degrees, associate degrees, and some of them lead really well into a bachelor's degree through some of our partnership programs with other schools. So I'll let you read through some of them. I'll just highlight a few. So this EMT certificate is, we offered it for a while and then it disappeared, and it's coming back. Because we are now able to staff it appropriately, finding people to teach it. So we're really excited to be able to offer EMT certifications and moving into EMR, EMS courses. Medical assistant is another really popular program, but I think most people around here know West Shore for their nursing program. We have a practical nursing certificate, and so that's the first year of the nursing program. We often refer to that as an LPN or a licensed practical nurse. Those students still need to apply and begin our nursing program. They'll just do the first year rather than both of them. If students complete both years of our nursing program, they will earn an associate's degree, and also, as long as they pass the boards, be able to practice as a registered nurse. And then we have this really awesome partnership with Ferris State where students can continue to take another year worth of classes at West Shore, again, working towards some of those general education requirements that are part of most bachelor's degrees, and then take 1 year of online courses through Ferris State and ultimately earn their bachelor's degree without having to really leave the county that they live in. So that's a really wonderful partnership. We love Ferris here. We love all of the schools really, but Ferris is, we just have a really wonderful relationship with them, and they're really, they accept a lot of things from us. So we also have a radiologic technology program. That's a partnership with Mid-Michigan. Respiratory care, I think that's a partnership with Ferris. And then with Michigan Colleges Online, we have programs that allow students to earn a credential for the MRI, CT, and EEG technology. Social science, this encompasses law enforcement, and education, and any students who are interested in pursuing social work, psychology, things of that nature. So I'll kind of let that hang out there. The social sciences Associate of Arts degree, again, that might be for students who aren't necessarily interested in education, but that might be for students who are interested in social work or psychology, whereas these other programs are a little bit more specific. We do also have an associate's degree, an Associate of Arts degree in criminal justice that includes a Michigan transfer agreement as well. This is a picture of our Corrections Academy. And then over here, this is a picture of our early childhood education classroom that is part of our new remodel in our tech center. So those students get to do some fun things in there. And then other areas of study that aren't covered in some of the areas that I mentioned before. We have an ag science program that is a partnership with Michigan State. We have digital literacy program that is part of our communications division. That digital literacy program transfers really well to both Ferris and U of M. That's a really cool opportunity for students who are interested in U of M. So I would love to talk to anybody about that who wants to listen. Arts and humanities, we have a lot of arts and humanities classes, so students who are interested in philosophy, performing arts, visual arts. We have wonderful, wonderful professors in all of those areas who can provide those students who are interested in those areas with some direction, especially if they're curious about transferring someplace and developing some connections, right? And then, of course, science and math. So We have a lot of students at West Shore actually who end up transferring to Michigan Tech to take some of, to pursue some engineering programs up there. So we just this year have introduced an Intro to Engineering course, Intro to Engineering 1 and 2, to help those students kind of pursue those goals while they can still pay West Shore tuition and get the personalized attention of West Shore faculty. So I've been referring a lot to partnership programs with lots of different schools. So here are some of the highlights. This is not an all-encompassing list, but these are the ones that I think are utilized more so than others. So what I am going to highlight right now, I assume that you all can read through that, but I'm going to talk for a moment about our Ferris Connections program right here. And that's actually not an academic partnership. That's more of a social partnership where students who are going to West Shore Community College enrolled in any classes, whether they're a dual enrolled student or they've graduated from high school and are taking classes, they have the opportunity to, they technically have to apply. It's just filling out an online form expressing that they're interested in this program. And then what we do is we send their information that's in our systems, just like their West Shore ID. We send that to Ferris, and they print off a Ferris State student ID for those students. It's completely free of cost. They send it back to us. And then from there, our West Shore Community College students can use that Ferris State student ID to access a lot of the privileges and resources that Ferris State students get to do. So when they're not, when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, they get to go to social events. They get to utilize the Ferris State Library. They can go to the Ferris State Rec Center. So anything that a Ferris State student ID would get a student into, our students would have access to. So they can still, again, pay West Shore Community College tuition, get the personalized experience of West Shore Community College faculty, but also have a little bit of an experience of a larger university. Last year, we took our students down to a football game. It was a Ferris State GVSU football game. It was an awesome game. Our students had a great time. And we also took them to a hockey game in February. So that was a ton of fun too. So we have a lot of options here. Talk a little bit about, high school options. If your students are dual enrolled right now, you might be familiar with that. If they're not right now, that might be an interesting option to consider for our second semester. So usually juniors and seniors dual enroll. They take college classes while they're still in high school, if their families and if their counselors and the students themselves kind of all are in agreement around that. And it's a great opportunity because the high schools actually pay for the tuition. Lots of scheduling options. Right now we have, more and more online options due to COVID, but we still are offering some face-to-face, particularly in our kind of essential worker areas, right? Like our medical and allied health courses and some of our law enforcement and corrections. Support services. So one of the things that I really like to emphasize is that there is a lot of support available for our students here at West Shore, and most colleges and universities provide this as well. We don't stand alone here, but it's all included in the cost of tuition. So a writing center where students can get help with writing, with presentations, with speeches, with resumes, any of those things that require any sort of typing or writing or development of ideas. Our writing center can help with that. We have a tutoring center. And more we're utilizing online tutoring this semester, but we still are doing some face-to-face tutoring via Zoom. We have a testing center, so we know that some of our students need testing accommodations, and so we have somebody on campus whose job is to make sure that all of our students have access to those accommodations that they need to help them learn. We offer free mental health counseling. In fact, we're expanding that right now because the pandemic is, of course, causing extra stress to all of us. And then we have we offer navigation of the My Bridges platform to help connect students to different services within their communities. And we have a wonderful staff person who helps guide students through that process if they need that help. Job placement. So I know that there's a lot of students in our communities who just aren't quite sure what they want to do. And this is the route that I usually direct them to is a strong interest inventory. We have a lot of other options, right? But the strong interest inventory, I think, is a great offering. It's a free offering to all students that, you know, it's asks a lot of questions about student interests, things that they're good at, things that they enjoy doing and don't enjoy doing. And then at the end of all that, there's this big analysis that says, these are some areas that you showed strong interest in, and based on that, we recommend maybe some of these fields. And also based on the things that you're not interested in, we encourage you maybe to not pursue these areas. You probably won't be happy there. So that can be a really useful tool for students who are kind of undecided and confused about what they want to do. We also have active student life. I'm in charge of student life, so I'm very partial to that. So I'm just going to kind of go through this really quickly so we have some time. So these are the different clubs and organizations. Students can get involved in the performing and visual arts. We have a rec center, ice arena, and disc golf course. So lots of ways for students to get active and find their people. And you know, I've been really surprised and impressed at all of the creative ways that our students are doing so virtually this semester. So that's what I've got. And it looks like we have a few minutes left for questions. So I will stop sharing my screen and open it up.
So just a reminder, if you want to use the chat, you can use a chat to submit a question, or you can unmute yourself. We don't have a big crowd here, so easy enough to do that. Annie, I did have a question. How does a student know whether they're in district or not? How do they find that out? Do they just contact admissions, or?
Yeah, that's one of the things that our student records department helps determine. So, you know, the address that they provide upon application, kind of automatically, there's different townships and things like that. Some are in district, some are out of district. Most of Mason County is in district. I think, yeah, all of Mason County is in district. Most of Manistee County is, parts of Lake County, and parts of Oceana. So, yeah, I think that the best route there would you can call me and I can find out. You can call our student records office. There's maps if you want to really be super resourceful and look those up, but that's usually a little bit more, I don't know,
Tricky.
more work.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, another question that I had was about dual enrolled students. So if a student is currently dual enrolled in West Shore and they want to start there as first year students next fall, do they have to apply again, or how does that work?
Yes, great question. So we have a lot of dual enrolled students who want to continue studying with us after they graduate from high school, and they do actually need to apply again because it'll trigger something in our system so that after they graduate from high school and we receive their official transcripts, that it takes the holds. There are certain restrictions that we put on dual enrollment students that we don't have on our high school graduates. So that is an important step, yes.
Annie, when should, like for example, my daughter, when should she apply at West Shore?
So I've already started processing applications for students from next year. The only, I think the only wrinkle in that plan is that, you know, when students are applying in October, November, December, and they're receiving all of the acceptance information, and right now, West Shore is in the process of starting a physical package with a letter and information that we're sending out, but that's been put on hold because of COVID. So right now, students are receiving an email. And I don't know about you, but you know, when I was 17, 18 years old, if I received an email in October, I probably wasn't going to remember what I did with it in April. So that's the only thing that can be problematic, as long as a student, when they receive that acceptance email that says this is your student ID, this is your login information, you need to do these steps. As long as they keep that and file that and know where to return to it, whether when they want to pursue enrollment, then yeah, they can start applying now. It's October 1st. It's college application month officially, so we encourage them to apply early. But we also encourage them to keep that email and not throw it away.
So another question that I had that was submitted was about SAT. So are SATs required to attend West Shore? And if so, are you requiring them for this year when the SAT testing might, for say, a student who isn't attending on a high school campus might be a little different?
Right. So no, we typically, the only reason that we use SATs, you know, we're a community college, we accept everybody who applies because we want to offer that education to everybody. So they're not required for admissions or acceptance. The only reason that we would use them in the past is for placement in our math and English courses. So we use those scores as a guideline, but we have other guidelines. So if students took the PSAT 10 when they were sophomores, I know that this year's juniors did not have that opportunity, but our seniors would have, right? Our current seniors would likely have taken that. So we can use those scores. We can also utilize high school GPA for placement to a certain extent, right? For most of our classes, but there are certain circumstances, like whether or not a student wants to take an upper level math course. You know, we would need a test score for that. And again, those PSAT 10 scores could work, or they can come to our campus, or I think we're still offering them remotely right now, actually, and take the AccuPlacer placement test, which is also run by the College Board. We offer it for free. The first time after that, if a student wants to retake a section of it to improve their score, it's $5. So it's pretty affordable. And students can take that, I think it's up to 3 times within a certain window. And then since it's done on campus, we keep the scores and can use those for placement too.
So right now, a lot of students and families are thinking about FAFSA because it's the first day that FAFSA is available. So what should they have on their radar as far as getting the FAFSA information to West Shore?
So I think it's going to be important. I mentioned this earlier, right? Be sure that you're filling it out for the correct year. That's been a point of confusion. Some poor families have filled it out for the wrong year and had to go back and do it all over again. So remember that you're using the tax information from 2019, right? So the taxes that you filed before this April, that's what you'll be using, that information for this coming, for the FAFSA for the 2021-2022 school year. And then we also have, you know, students have applied to West Shore and been accepted. There's a student portal that students can check to see whether their documents have been received, what's missing. And so, you know, I'm happy to show that right now if that would be helpful. But that's also part of our new student orientation. So I encourage students to do that and walk through it themselves so they can kind of explore there. But they can also call us with any questions. Our financial aid office is so incredibly helpful and knows everything about financial aid. But yeah, one of the things that a lot of people forget about or don't know about is that there's that online portal that you can use to track your progress.
So if a student has decided that they want to apply, just a couple of questions. Where do they find the application and how much does it cost? You probably said it. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, the application is completely free. We do not ask for anybody's money until they are paying tuition or buying books. So the application is actually on our website. It's www.westshore.edu. There's a scrolling screen. Would it be helpful if I showed that right now?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay, let me see. What was that?
I said, sure, if you want to.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just get to, this is my Zoom screen. So this is going to take us to our homepage. And there's a scrolling background, right? So, and then you'll see a little green button pop up. And you can use these arrows to the right and left to keep scrolling. And then when you see this green Apply Now button, that's what you click. And students will need a social security number. That's one thing that a lot of students don't know yet. And so this is, of course, the time where they start to kind of put that in a safe spot, someplace it's password protected, or just in their brain and just remember it. But that is required for applications.
Great, that has been so helpful, and I think that you've supplied a lot of great information about West Shore, so thank you so much for your help, and thank you to families who have attended today. It's always great to hear questions that are coming from parents as well as students. And if students have a question, or if a family is watching this on YouTube after the presentation is completed, again, could you remind them how they contact you or how they contact West Shore? Oh, you're muted.
A little excited there. My cat's about to make an appearance, so excuse her. But they can email the Office of Admissions at westshore.edu. And then they can also call admissions at 231-843-5503.
Thank you so much, Annie. It was great to hear from you today and to hear about all that West Shore has to offer. And we typically at Mason County College Access Network will meet up with you in the spring to do a little more in-depth about that application process, the follow-up with orientation and all that fun stuff. So for families out there, keep an eye out for that information and visit us at masoncountycan.org. And you can contact me if you have any questions about how to reach West Shore that aren't answered here already. And my email is jodym@ludington.org. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and a great October. It's college month. Bye.
Yay!